Hello everyone and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today we're back with another episode of Skulltales Full Sail, which you can see over here. And this is going to be on GameFound in just it's going to be in September. It's going to launch a new campaign for the 3rd edition. And that's why I'm kind of promoting this game a little bit, because I really like it. Thank you very much to Draco Ideas for gifting me this game so I can paint the miniatures. And if you've been following me for a while, you can see that I've also painted a few other episodes of Skulltales Full Sail, which is a pirate game set in the Caribbean, filled with adventures, booty, and lots of fighting. So I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit here so I can show you the miniature we're going to be painting today. And attach the camera over here because I'm on a tripod, and that should be it. Today we're going to be painting a skeleton conquistador. So if you haven't painted skeletons before, this is a really cool way to actually paint it and also get some nice rusty metal on top of it as well. Now there is going to be an inspiration from the card art, and the card art is going to be a little bit different from the model itself, and I'll show you why. This is what the card art actually looks like, and as you can see here in the card art, you can see that he's actually wearing some kind of cross in the shield here. I'll show you the difference here in just a bit. That you can see here that it's more like an eagle or some sort in the miniature art itself. So there's a little bit of difference, but not much. So first of all, we're going to focus on painting his armor, which means it's going to be on his kind of like thigh armor here, his breastplate or cuirass, his shield, and his helmet is of course his sword. And that means I've chosen to use a combination of two colors here, and both of them are from Vallejo. I'm mixing them 50-50, I'm using them neat, and it's called Natural Steel as well as German Grey. And if you've been following me for a while, you can see that these are very good colors to mix in to give this nice metallic shiny finish. So I'm going to hold it up here for you to see, and that means you cover the whole shield as well as the back of the shield with this mixture, making sure that you get nice and even coverage while of course not missing out any details. Of course the sword, don't forget the sword handle and sword guard, turning it around, and you'll do the back side as well. Very nice and easy. If this is your first miniature that you'll be painting, this is an easy way to start it out. You can use this mixture of colors, Vallejo, German Grey and Natural Steel, to mix in your other color like metallic paints as well, because you need kind of like, not always, but if you have a white background like I do, painting pure metallic on it is not going to be looking very good. As you can already see here right now, it's starting to look quite nice. I'm also going over the helmet here. This is a specific helmet, very similar to those that the conquistadors were using. It's called a Morion, and they were very popular in armies of the time period, starting from the 16th and even the beginning of the 15th century in Europe. And they're very symbolic for conquistadors as well, even so symbolic that other games use them frequently. Don't forget the inner sides and of course the back side here as well. If you make a mistake with this one, don't worry, we'll be able to fix it later on. Now for the breastplate, it's going to be this one, the inner sides. Don't forget to paint the shield on the inner side here as well while you're at it, trying to avoid the kind of skeleton hand on the back side of the shield, and as well as these things here. Now you get the main idea. I'm not going to show you the entire model, so to speed up this one a little bit. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. You have this one here. Okay, it looks quite okay. Now, if you look at the card art, I'll make sure that you will compare it here for a while. You can see that it's looking fairly okay with this one. Now, we're also going to paint his clothes, or like tattered clothes a little bit. So for that color, I've chosen to use kind of like a leathery feeling, because a dark brown might be a little bit too much. So for that, I'm using a contrast color from Vallejo. No, from Citadel, my apologies. And that one is called Snakebite Leather. Snakebite Leather is a nice color because it mixes in the feeling of a wash and a base paint in one go. You apply it neat, straight from the jar, and you apply it to all the details of the like his left boot here. Not the right boot. The right boot has already like just pure skeletons, pure bone. Now apply a little bit more on the brush on over here, putting it down over here, picking it up for you. And of course it has a kind of like a leathery feeling here, putting a little bit more on top of it, as well as also his breeches here, which is going to be the whole back side. That was my watch telling me that I probably need to stand up for a bit. It does that sometimes. As well, don't forget the back side here as well, and the top side here. Going over to the front. Making sure that you don't cover most of the armor here on the sides here that I showed you previously. Don't forget this one here. And a little bit on the other side. It's easy to miss on top of his left hand shoulder. If you feel it's pooling too much, you can take a damp brush, a little bit of water, and move it around until you have it something of your liking. All right, this is what it's not going to look like when it's finished. I'm going to show you what it's finished when you applied this one without this one and the armor at the same time, and it looks like this. You have it on the back side, on the shoulder, right arm, left arm, his boot, as well as his breeches and left arm here. And you can also see this one. Right now, it's time for our wash. Now, we are not going to wash the contrast color. We are only going to wash the armor as well as the bones. But before that, my mistake here, we are actually going to apply the ivory here. Ivory is for the bone colors, and we're applying it neat this is from Vallejo, and you're applying this to all skeleton parts. Putting this one to the side, we have this one who's ready, and you apply it across all the bone parts of the miniature. Giving it a nice even coverage, trying to avoid, of course, all part where I've already covered it with the contrast color. And some of you might wonder, what about like blood and like, you know, these effects? Well, this is not a zombie. So normally if it would have been a zombie, I would have added blood and pus and gore and all these things. But since it is actually a skeleton, I'm choosing not to add in the blood and sinews and bones. You can do so if you want to. It is, after all, your figure, your miniature, and you can do so if you want to, no problem. But I'm choosing not to do it because I want a more look according to the card art, which actually doesn't show that. Don't forget the fingers here, as well as the arm. Of course, you can be quite liberal with, you know, if you want to put just more clothing details here if you want to. Don't forget the back of the leg here. Now, for the face, same thing as well. Gives it a bit more skeletally look as well. I also have to say that I primed these ones as well in a grey-white primer from Vallejo as well. So, but it's the miniatures come in a kind of like white color, so that's nice. But always prime your miniatures. There's if you don't know what a priming is, take a look at my other videos. It will show you exactly what to do. It's a very easy step, and you will be able to get a hang of it really easily. So there you go, putting it like this. All right. Now, when it's like this, it looks quite okay. I would say that it's room for improvements, of course, and that's why we're going to apply the wash. Now, a wash is always applied after something is dried, and in this case, I've already applied the wash for this miniature, but I want to show you what wash I used. It's very easy. You soak this, take this black wash or Nuln oil from Citadel. This is from Vallejo, and you soak it in all the metal parts as well as in all the bone parts, making sure it sucks into the crevices and all the recesses. And then when it's dry, it's looking like this. It's going to darken the metal quite a lot, but it's going to give you something to work on when we come into the finishing touches here. And this video, I'm trying to make it a little bit shorter. That's why I painted several figures at once. Make sure that you don't have to wait, and you also don't have to watch an hour-long video, which is normally from other videos as well. Now, for this one, now I was going to go into the details, and as you can see, it looks quite grimy. So I'm going to start off by giving the metal and like the metal cuirass, the Morian sword, and the shield a nice finish. And I'm going to do so by applying a dry brush of Chainmail silver from Vallejo. A dry brush is a very good idea to do if either you're in a hurry or you just want some lighter effect, which is very easy. It's a very easy way to do so. You take an old brush. In this case, I'm going to take a smaller brush, but normally there are dry brushes for this because it's a very small figure. And you dip it into the paint like this, and then you take a piece of paper and dry most of the paint off, maybe a little bit too much, and until you're left with something like a very subtle effect. Now, I'm going to do that over the entire shield. And as you can see here, the eagle kind of comes to light. And I want to keep the dark, grimy look because this is a skeleton that's been fighting for a long time. I'm going to do it as well from the inside here. And also, the good thing with here is that all the nice details from his breastplate is coming out really nicely. Don't forget the inner sides here, as well as his focus on his crotch there as well. I'll do the same thing for the helmet, giving a very nice grimy look, turning attention to the back here, as well as the black breastplate as well. If you want a more shiny look, you can definitely just apply this one neat without the dry brush, and back of the shield as well. But here you can see that all the nice details of the miniature is actually showing. You can always see the straps, and you can move it around like this to get a more even coverage. Now, for the sword, I'm going to choose to actually paint it neat, to actually making it appear like looking really nicely. And a little bit more details here with the eagle here. You can paint this in gold if you want to, but right now, since I did the dry brush, now I'm painting the eagle here with some pure silver to make sure it really stands out on the table. A little bit more up here as well. So you can see here right now, it's looking quite okay, quite grimy. Now I'm going to take this one a little bit step further, and I'm also going to dry brush the bone part as well. And the bone part, the same thing. We start with the Vallejo ivory, and we do the same process here for the bone part. The reason why I'm using such a small brush for this is that I want to have brush control and making sure that I don't touch any of the details that I previously covered. So here for this one here, I'm going to lightly touch over the bone part, but I still wanted to show the sinews and kind of like but where it's covered too much, like when it's like the wash has pooled, I want to really cover this area first, making sure that it looks like actual bones here without obscuring any of the details. So I want to make sure I touch the feet here as well as his ankles, as well as his other leg here. And the key here is to dry brush the raised areas, not the details inside. So going back here and back here. Now for the facial details, you can do the same thing, or you can pick out individual details. I'm going to try and do both. First of all, I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to wipe a little bit off the brush, and I'm going to pick it up again and show you how to dry brush the face. Now, face can be a very focal aspect of a miniature, so you want to really make sure that you take your time here. Now, I want to make sure that all the recesses here in this face are actually showing where the wash actually pooled, like the eye sockets and the mouth. So it's a very small dry brush like this. Now when this one is done, I'm going to go over with a fine tipped brush such as a 000 or a 00 and pick out individual details from the ivory here as well with it. So with this case, we're going to go over the nose, and the forehead, looking like this. You can also, I also want to make sure that I touch the fingers here because they're grasping the sword here. As well as in individual bones that I want highlighted here on this miniature. So I'm going to go over the feet here once more. A little bit more paint. The feet, as well as again these legs and kind of like the heel here sticking out. It's a nice point here that it's, as well as the back here, as well as the arm. There you go. Now let's turn our attention to the leather parts, and you can do this in two ways. Either you can apply some just pure brown here, or you can just leave them as they are. I'm going to choose to focus a little bit more on red leather, which is Vallejo model color. Going to put it out here, and I'm going to put it out neat, and I want to make sure it has a different color, definitely. But I want to make sure that the breeches here are painted in a different color, leaving some of the here the wash here showing a little bit in between. I'm using it very lightly So using a stifling motion when I paint, making sure that some of the wash here is showing in between, making sure that it gives the idea of a kind of like tattered clothing, that clothes have been like worn away over the hundreds of years where these guards actually fought. So here I'm going to put some paint away. And a little bit over here. And if you covered it too much with your dry brush before, this is what the house is going to look like. As well as for the boot. And as well as the top up here as well. So this is what it's going to look like. Let's see if I can zoom this in for you guys. That is what it's going to look like, turning it around like this. Okay, we've got a few more details to cover before we're actually done. And if you look at the card art, I'm going to put this down for a second, and it's that it's really rusty. And rust can be painted in different ways. You can use both Vallejo and Citadel. And I'm going to use a very specific technical color from Vallejo it's a model wash called Rust, or Lavis Oxide, or Oxido in Spanish, because it's a Spanish company. And I'm going to use this one. It's the first time I'm using it. So I'm going to put it down here on my palette. And it's a very liquid color, so I'm just using 2 small drops. And I'm going to apply it over the area where rust can actually accumulate, you know, such as the shield. As it's a wash, I don't want it pooled, so I'm using a very selective shading here, as well as here on the breastplate here. As well as a little bit on the helmet. Has a nice, very subtle tone. And using a little bit on the sword as well. Make sure I dull the shine of the sword a little bit. Making sure that it looks old and worn. And it kind of gives a kind of like goldy feeling of the eagle here, which is not bad, because it gives it, accentuates it a little bit without blurring the details. And I want to make sure and the same thing actually goes for the inside of the breastplate. It's all its markings as well that normally wouldn't come out. I do the same thing for the back side, but I'm only putting out very lightly on the back side. So with this one done, you are now ready simply to apply your basing color. For basing colors, you can use a variety of your choice. You can use Sterling Mud Chase or anything else, but otherwise this one is fairly finished. So if you like this video, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow. And check out the link for the Skull Tales Full Sale, the GameFound link, which they have the pre-found GameFound link out on their site, so you can check out all the details for the 3rd edition. I'm having the 2nd edition, which is actually not much of a difference in terms of the miniatures, but there will be some more miniatures in coming expansions in the 3rd edition, so please check that out. Now, I also want to say something else. Drecko Diaz has a new game coming out in 25 days on GameFound called Hispania. And Hispania is a kind of like a war game with, it doesn't have miniatures like these ones that you can see here, like plastic ones, but they do have wooden ones, and takes place as after Carthage had been defeated by the Roman Empire Hispania or Spain simply was up for grabs, and you have the choice to do so as a commander in that war, going to take that territory for yourself or for someone else. So please check out the link in the description box for Hispania as well as for the art, which looks absolutely amazing. So they're going to launch in 25 days, and I highly recommend this game. I took a look at the game found, and I saw a prototype of the game as well, and it looks really good. So with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time on the channel. We're going to continue either painting Skull Tales or we'll do something else. Until next time, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.